All right, so now we are at the point where we can start sculpting, EQing. We did a lot of subtraction in the last lesson. I thought I was going to add a lot of drums and ended up at the very end deciding that it just took away from the song. So now we're going to just EQ and kind of blend. You'd think that there's less things to mix, there's less instruments, less vocal layers, that it'll be easier to mix. And in many ways that's true, but there's also more things in your face and more things that could go wrong and phase each other out. So we just want to make sure that everything's nice and tight and crisp. I think in the last song, there was such a heavy emphasis on making everything super perfect and lined up. And I do want this to have that same effect, but we're gonna let the song speak for itself a little bit more rather than making it sound too perfect, because you don't want something like this to sound super robotic. For example, on the last song, like I was dragging vocal syllables onto the grid. I think there's no drums in this really. It's just the sequenced bass effects. So I think it'd be wise to leave everything very open and loose, but let's just give it a rundown. Let me just listen to where we are at in the verse. See if there needs to be any specific note like changes.
I begged her wishing I could go back in time. I miss the way life used to be.
Okay, so on this one, I really like, I miss the way life used to be. I really love the way that's hitting. I don't really want to touch that. Sometimes I'll do that, and this is one of those cases, but I can kind of clean up the first half of that a little bit. So let's put this to A minor. We're back in auto-tune. I don't think we're gonna tune every note. We're just gonna get like the transitional notes, because it pains me, like this D, for example, is not all the way a D. It just, I kind of went a little sharp to a D sharp. So, but you know, just nothing crazy. Smooth this part out right here. Maybe get this B up here too. That's fine because it's at the very, very end. Let's listen.
I begged her wishing I could go. I begged her wishing I could go back in.
Shin. I'm just gonna get that. Shin. I don't even need to, the rest is fine right there.
I begged her wishing I could.
I'll kind of use this method when I'm cleaning up a live performance, where you want it to sound like, you know, when you're on a stage, your voice is not gonna sound perfect like it is in the studio. So the live facets make it a little more forgiving, and I kind of want to use that same approach here as well.
I begged her wishing I could go back in time. I begged her wishing I could go back in time. I begged her wishing I could go back in time.
This is not okay right here, but we're just gonna get this middle part.
I begged her wishing I could.
Listen to that now.
I begged her wishing I could go back in time. I miss the way life used to be.
It's good.
I'm wondering if it will all be alright. And this is what she said.
Maybe this right here.
I'm wondering.
I'm wondering.
I'm wondering if. I'm wondering.
Get to that B quicker, smooth it out.
I'm wondering.
Too much though.
I'm wondering.
And by the way, if in your song it calls for like more of like a heavy autotune stance, like this is just particular to this song. So you could be making your own comfortable song and be like, I hate autotune so much, I want to use more of it to do Charlie's Lesson.
I'm wondering if.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
I'm wondering if it will.
Still too much.
And if it will all. I'm wondering if it will all be alright. And this is what she said to me.
Let's push the compression region.
When you get to my age, you'll see a lot of things things, but it's okay if you don't see it now.
Like, I'm not touching any of that. That sounds fine.
'Cause one day you'll know that everything comes back around.
Around. I kind of little too much inflection on there.
Go around, go around, go around, go around, go.
Try this.
You'll know that everything comes back around. It's inevitable.
That's what I want to get really going there.
Table, 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 table.
That F right there. Smooth that down there. And then you have like a very honest sounding, like less pop, but very honest sounding vocal.
Table. That everything comes back around. Everything comes back around.
Let's get So I kind of led that note off by hitting an A, so I want to kind of start on the G, but drag it down. Maybe get to the A quicker. So super tune it first, and then back it off from there. A little more.
Everything comes back around.
Nice. Copy and paste it to the other course.
I try so hard to not get down on myself. Not to
Down on myself.
get down on myself.
Self.
Get down on myself.
Self.
Get down on myself.
Just
Get
that's
down
self.
on myself. Get down on.
I'm really listening here for
I
not kind of embracing the imperfection, but cleaning it up a little.
I try so hard to not get down on myself and not to take things for granted. Have to be patient.
Did I do anything with this?
Get to my age, you'll see a lot of things, but it's okay if you don't see it now. 'Cause one day
Oh yeah, these do a lot here.
that everything comes back around. It's inevitable that everything comes back around.
Maybe make this a little wider. I don't want it to be. I want it to be in the middle. It's supposed to like kind of sound like an Amy Winehouse warm kind of thing. I'm hearing like a little overtone I want to get rid of. So let's go to like our trusty Neutron EQ. Get G on the G. It's like an overtone of an E. Hear it? Now we get rid of that. Subtle difference, listen to it before. Sounds like the hotel lobby bell. We got rid of the hotel lobby bell.
I begged her, wishing I could go back in time.
And now that that little resonance is gone, we can make it louder.
I begged her, wishing I could go back in time. I miss the way life used to be. I'm wondering if it will all be alright. And this is what she said to me.
I think
When you get to
this needs 1073 little module. Give it some little bit of air, maybe. What is this? Modern Jazz MP3 enhancer? What is that even? Yeah, that's.
wondering if it will all be alright.
We don't have a rhythm section, so I want that little top bell to be. If I didn't have that neutron EQ, it would sound like this. Ugh. Sounds like it was close mic'd.
I begged her, wishing I could go back in time. I miss the way life used to be.
You know what I'll use sometimes too? It might work. I don't really use it on like big productions because I feel like it gets a little lost in the sauce. But going back to like Nectar and not like really using what is on plugin, but like sometimes they have like really good suggestions too.
And if it will all be alright.
Let's make it super low.
This is what she said to me. When you get to my age, you'll see a lot of things.
Like it's doing
but
too
it's
much
okay
right now.
if you don't see it now. 'Cause one day you'll know that everything
I'll probably just end up using the EQ.
around. It's inevitable that everything.
Now let's get rid of that. Boom, off. EQ on, maybe de-esser.
And if it will all be alright. And this is what she said to me. When you get to
Oh, I don't like it. Never mind. You know what's good? This just came out. I think iZotope. I'm just such a fanboy of iZotope. I feel like this is like super. Let's actually put this right on the channel. This Neoverb. It's so impressive. It's a sculpting reverb. Let's use mono.
I begged her wishing.
So you kind of pick what you want.
I begged her wishing I could go back in time.
Just want something short and airy.
I begged her wishing I could go back in time.
And it'll
It's the way
EQ automatically. It's like my type of plugin. And shape your reverb so nothing overlaps each other.
Be alright. This is what she said to me. I begged her, wishing I could go back in time. I miss the way.
I just want like a little wide. It's not even like a reverb. I just want some wide ambience.
I begged her, wishing I could go back in time. I
Before.
miss the way life used to be.
Do our little.
I'm wondering if it will all be alright. And this is what she said to me. When you get to my age, you'll see a lot of things. But it's okay if you don't see it now. 'Cause one day you'll know that everything comes back around. It's inevitable that everything comes back around.
Just a little bit of it, barely noticeable.
It will all be alright. And this is what what she said to me.
So it's like a super low song, so I can kind of pump this up a little bit. Bring out the beat.
I begged her, wishing I could go back in time. I miss the way life used to be. I'm wondering if it will all be alright. And this is what she said to me. You'll see a lot of things.
Let's get to that.
You'll see a lot. You'll see a lot. You'll see a lot of things. You'll see. You'll see a lot of. You'll see a lot of things.
We bumped the compression up, so we gotta bump the de-esser up a little bit.
You'll see a lot of things, but it's okay if you don't see it now.
Barely noticeable.
'Cause one day you'll know that everything comes back around. It's inevitable that everything comes back around. Everything comes back around.
Maybe on the background vocals, put a 560 and just take up a little air. It might be too much. I don't know. Let's see.
Back around. I try so hard to not get down on myself, to be patient. Oh, you get to my age.
I heard a little closed door action right here.
Oh, you get to my age. You'll see a lot of things, but it's okay if you don't see it now.
Automate this up a little bit.
Get to my age. You'll see a lot of things, but it's okay if you don't see it now. 'Cause one day you'll know that everything comes back around. It's inevitable that everything comes back around. Everything comes back around.
Displace, just take this and the.
Everything comes back around.
Not that.
Everything comes back around. One day.
If I had like, if this were like a duet, it would be nuts.
One day you'll know that everything comes back around.
Just like adjust that fade a little bit. Minuscule fade.
Everything comes back around.
I just like how it ends. Lou Bell always told me to like cut it off at the end, like just like a little bit, like where it sounds like unexpected, because it makes the listener maybe want to listen to it again, like they missed it, like they messed up or something like that. AKA like The Sopranos, like cutting off, don't stop. Well, not supposed to sing songs, so we won't use that example, but you know what I mean. You guys know what I mean.
I begged her, wishing I could go back in time. I miss the way life used to be.
That sounds like pretty damn good to me. And before, well, I'm gonna bounce it out and then we're gonna do something after the bounce too, which is, I'll do it sometimes. It just adds a little bit more character. All of these songs that you hear on, you know, wherever you listen to music are all pretty much in A441. So it's sometimes kind of nice to speed them up a little bit. And like Julian Bunetta did that on some early One Direction stuff where he finished it and then sped it up, and it was kind of like in between keys. Like it wasn't B flat major, it wasn't B major, it was kind of like B flat and a half major. So that's a good place to get it. And
I begged her, wishing I could go back in time.
nice. Bounce it down to fully waved and 2448. We'll call it day 2 1.0. Make sure it's going through the right output because that would suck. It doesn't need to be 20. Let's do 16 40 41. You bounce it out. You wait for it to slowly bounce out. I feel like when they made Everybody Wants to Rule the World, it's super interesting, by Tears for Fears. It's in D major, but they sped it up to make it a little bit faster, and it was in between keys. And I seriously believe, like, being the nerd I am, I pitched it down to its original tempo. It's like too slow. So you take the master off, make it active. You go to your bounce folder. Look at all these drum sounds. ABC, day 2. Import it in. And I'll do this when I'm like writing songs sometimes. Like I'll make a sample and speed it up and then build a whole new song around it. But obviously this is a finished product. So go to anything, go to, we'll use time shift. Put it in very speed, kind of just with your ear, pick where it is best suitable.
I begged her, wishing I could go back in time. I miss the way life used to be. I'm wondering if it will all be alright.
30.
This is what she said to me.
Before.
When you get to my age,
After.
you'll see a lot of things.
Okay, before.
But it's okay if
After.
you don't see it now.
Very subtle, but speeds it up. It's what they do on the radio anyway. But now your song will stand out. If it's in a playlist, your song will stand out because most of them are going to be at 441 unless they're smart like us. You go into your clips, export as files, export it again as a 16441, same folder. Let's not do it. Let's just do it to the desktop. Here it is.
I begged her, wishing I could go back in time. I miss the way life used to be. I'm wondering if it will all be alright. And this is what she said to me. When you get to my age, you'll see a lot of things. But it's okay if you don't see it now. 'Cause one day you'll know that everything comes back around. It's inevitable that everything comes back around. Everything comes back around. I try so hard to not get down on myself and not to take things for granted. Oh, and listen, when it all won't work out, you just have to be patient. Oh, when you get to my age, you'll see a lot of things, but it's okay if you don't see it now. 'Cause one day you'll know that everything comes back around. It's inevitable.
cuts off. I love it. It makes it more interesting. Just pitch it like that 30% semitone, whatever it is, cents or something. Just makes it hell of a lot more interesting. All right, so my song is done. Now it is your turn to finish your song, mix, master, do all the EQ, finish all the lyrics, make little melody adjustments if you have to, even pitch up the master like I did at the end. I think it makes it a little bit more special, and I can't wait to hear what you guys come up with.